A storm is building in Hudson, but this time, it's not just in the sky. It's in the heart of the family, where every decision feels heavier than the last, and one choice could change everything they've worked for. The morning begins quietly at Heartland, but that silence never lasts long. Amy is already noticing something different in the air, like everyone is waiting for something they're not fully ready to face. The horses are restless, the ranch feels tense, and even the smallest conversations seem to carry hidden meaning. Lou is trying to hold things together as usual, but there is pressure building from every direction, especially with upcoming responsibilities that could put the entire ranch under the spotlight. Jack senses it too, but he's not saying much. He has seen enough seasons change at Heartland to know when trouble doesn't announce itself, it just arrives quietly and stays. Amy, on the other hand, is pulled into something more personal. A familiar face from the past shows up unexpectedly, bringing with them memories she thought were settled long ago. But nothing stays buried forever at Heartland. One simple conversation starts opening doors that were better left closed, and suddenly Amy is forced to question not just where she is, but where she is going. At the same time, she is still balancing her work with the horses, trying to help a new situation involving a difficult horse that refuses to trust anyone. Every attempt to calm it only makes things more complicated, and it becomes clear that this is not just about training anymore. It's about understanding something deeper that connects both horse and rider in ways no one expected. Meanwhile, Lou is dealing with pressure outside the ranch that starts affecting everything inside it. Decisions about business, reputation, and future plans are not as simple as they used to be. People are watching Heartland closely, waiting to see if the family can still keep everything running smoothly.
Everything at Heartland starts to feel heavier after that unexpected shift, like the ranch is holding its breath and waiting to see who will break first. Amy tries to stay focused on the horses, but her mind keeps drifting back to the changes happening around her. The difficult horse she has been working with becomes even more unpredictable today, as if it can sense the emotional tension in the air. Every time she gets close, it reacts with fear or resistance, forcing her to slow down and rethink everything she thought she knew. It's not just training anymore. It feels like a reflection of everything happening in her own life, where patience is being tested in ways she didn't expect. At the same time, the past connection that resurfaced earlier doesn't fade away. Instead, it grows stronger in the background, quietly influencing her decisions. A conversation that seemed small at first now carries weight, making Amy question whether moving forward means letting go of something she is not fully ready to release. There is a conflict building inside her, not loud or dramatic, but constant. She is trying to stay grounded, but the emotional pull of memories and responsibilities is making everything harder to balance. Lou's situation also becomes more complicated as outside pressure increases. What once felt manageable now starts to feel a chain of decisions stacking one after another. She is forced to deal with people who don't fully understand the heart behind Heartland, only the results it produces. That difference becomes a source of tension. Lou tries to defend the ranch.
The tension at Heartland doesn't settle overnight. Instead, it carries into the next moment, like a shadow that refuses to fade, affecting everyone in subtle but noticeable ways. The ranch wakes up to another day that feels heavier than it should, as if the calm outside is hiding something unstable underneath. Amy continues her work, but now every step feels more careful, more thoughtful. The horse she has been struggling with remains at the center of her attention, and today, something slightly different happens. There is a brief moment where it doesn't pull away as strongly, a small sign of trust, but it disappears just as quickly. That single moment is enough to give hope, but also confusion, because progress here is never simple. It comes and goes just like emotion she is dealing with in her personal life. The emotional conflict inside Amy continues to grow quietly. The resurfaced connection from her past is not something she can easily ignore anymore. It doesn't demand attention, but it keeps appearing in her thoughts at the worst possible moments. While working with the horse, while talking with family, even during silence, it stays there. She is trying to convince herself that focus is enough to move forward, but deep down she knows that ignoring feelings doesn't make them disappear. At Heartland, everything eventually finds its way back to the surface. Lou is now facing a more direct form of pressure. What was once external negotiation has started to feel more personal, as if the decisions being made are no longer just about business, but about identity and legacy. She is being forced to defend not just the ranch, but the way of life it represents. That responsibility weighs heavily on her, especially when others question whether Heartland can keep up with changing expectations. Lou stands firm in her beliefs, but the strain is visible. Every conversation feels like a test of patience and strategy, and there is very little room for hesitation. Jack, as always, remains observant, but even his calm nature is being tested by the growing divide within the family. He can see that everyone is trying to handle their own struggles alone, and that independence is slowly turning into separation.
The situation at Heartland continues to tighten, like a rope slowly being pulled in from every direction, leaving less and less room for comfort or certainty. What started as emotional tension has now turned into something more active, something that affects every corner of the ranch. Amy finds herself constantly moving between responsibilities, but no matter how much she focuses on the horses, the pressure around her doesn't fade. The horse she has been working with becomes a mirror of everything she is feeling inside. Some moments of calm, followed by sudden resistance, as if trust is always one step forward and 2 steps back. Amy starts realizing that forcing progress will not work here. Every breakthrough must be earned, and sometimes the hardest part is accepting that patience is the only way forward, even when everything else feels like it is speeding up. At the same time, the emotional thread from her past continues to quietly influence her present. It is not something dramatic or openly discussed, but it lingers in every decision she makes. A look, a memory, a sentence that wasn't finished properly, all of it builds into a quiet emotional storm that she cannot fully avoid. She tries to separate personal feelings from responsibility, but Heartland has never been a place where emotions stay separate for long. Everything is connected, whether she wants it to be or not. Lou is now dealing with consequences that feel more immediate than before. The pressure from outside forces is no longer just about expectations, but about results that must be delivered without delay. Every conversation she has feels like it carries weight beyond the words being spoken. She is trying to protect the ranch's future while also defending its values, but those two goals don't always align easily. The strain is beginning to show in small ways. Short pauses, delayed responses, moments where confidence briefly cracks before being rebuilt again. Lou is strong, but even strength is being tested under this kind of pressure. Jack notices all of this more clearly than anyone else. He sees the way everyone is trying to carry their burdens alone, even when they are standing just a few.
By the time the week reaches its final turning point, the atmosphere at Heartland feels completely different from where it began. The ranch still looks the same from the outside, the fences standing strong, the horses moving through the fields, the family carrying on with their routines. But underneath all of that, something has changed. The pressure, the uncertainty, and the emotional weight of the past few days have started leaving visible marks on everyone. No one says it directly, but they all feel it. Heartland is being tested again. Not by one single problem, but by many small fractures slowly pushing against each other at the same time. Amy stands at the center of it more than she realizes. The difficult horse that once refused every attempt at connection now becomes the final reflection of everything she has been struggling with emotionally. After days of setbacks and confusion, she begins to understand that trust cannot be rushed, and neither can healing. One quiet moment changes everything between them. Not because of force or control, but because for the first time, there is complete understanding. It is the kind of breakthrough that doesn't arrive loudly. It happens in silence, in patience, and in the decision not to give up even when every sign points toward failure. That moment affects Amy more deeply than anyone around her fully understands, because it also forces her to face truths about herself that she has been avoiding. The emotional connection from her past reaches a point where it can no longer stay hidden in the background. Conversations that once felt unfinished finally move toward clarity. But clarity does not always bring comfort. Amy realizes that some choices cannot satisfy everyone, and moving forward sometimes means accepting that certain parts of life will always remain complicated. The hardest part is knowing that even the right decision can still hurt. That realization stays with her as the pressure around the ranch continues to build. Lou is also pushed to her limit. The outside expectations surrounding Heartland finally reach a moment where decisions can no longer be delayed. She is forced to make a choice that could shape the future of the ranch in ways larger than anyone expected. It is not an easy decision because every option comes with risk,